65 years ago, a 33-year-old African-American postal worker from Houston tried to get into the University of Texas Law School.
When Heman Sweat was barred from the university because of his race, he filed a lawsuit that changed the face of race relations in our country. Only on KXAN News tonight, our Jim Swift tells us Sweat's legacy still lingers on the UT campus.
In 1946, Heman Sweat and a delegation from the NAACP walked down this very hallway to room number 1 of the University of Texas Tower Building. That's where Sweat handed over his application for admittance to the UT Law School to University President Theophilus Painter. Painter, who was also a zoology professor, sent the application to the Texas Attorney General, who stalled until Sweat lost patience and filed a lawsuit.
It took a lot of courage to show up on this campus while the Attorney General is saying things like, Heman Sweat will never darken the halls of the University of Texas.
Gary Laverne, the director of admissions research at UT, is out with a new book about Sweat.
Heman Marion Sweat literally faced the possibility that someone would gun him down for what he was doing.
It took 4 excruciating years, but in 1950, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Texas could not legally create a separate law school for blacks, and the court ordered the university to admit Sweat.
He's a genuine unsung civil rights hero in American history.
For decades, Sweat's name lingered on the sidelines of local lore, until the UT Board of Regents named the university's little campus in his honor. Later, the Travis County Commissioners named the county courthouse for him as well. But perhaps the most important building involved in the Sweat case is this house in the 1100 block of San Bernard. It was in the house that Sweat's attorney, Thurgood Marshall, stayed while he was in town for the trial because, as an African American, the city's hotels were off limits to him. Marshall, of course, went on to a distinguished career on the United States Supreme Court.
Before that, the NAACP went with a strategy called equalization. We want equal pay for black teachers, equal schools for black students. But it was in this case, in Sweat, that Marshall finally said, that's not working. Let's do a direct attack on the constitutionality of segregation. And he did it in the living room of that house here in Austin.
The battle left Sweat exhausted and in poor health, and he dropped out of the law school after a year and a half. But hundreds of African Americans have graduated from UT Law since, and almost 30% of the current class is made up of minority students. Jim Swift, KXAN, Austin News.
Laverne's book is called Before Brown because he argues the Sweat case paved the way for the Supreme Court's decision in Brown versus Board of Education. That was the 1954 ruling that ordered the desegregation of all public schools in America. On Thursday, Laverne will kick off the 25th anniversary of the university's Heman Sweat Symposium. You'll find the full schedule for the semester-long symposium through a link on the local news page at our website, kxan.com.